Hi there, my name is Alex Scott. I am presenting to Cyber 33-2-50 Computer Security course at Metropolitan State University, taught by Jenifer Grant. My presentation is going to be on ransomware prevention and mitigation strategies. To start off with the agenda here, we're just going to do an introduction, then a answer what is ransomware. Then we're going to talk about the first ransomware attack, the types of ransomware, do a demo with Ryuk ransomware, then start listing the defensive strategies that can be employed, and finally conclude and give some key takeaways. All right, we'll start with the introduction here. I hope you like that little model there for the analogy. So starting with a quote here from Sonic Wall. They said, ransomware attacks increased 105% in 2021. Ransomware attacks have financial and operational impacts on individuals, businesses, critical infrastructure, and government organizations. And go on with a quote here from Malwarebytes' threat intelligence team this year, saying, ransomware attacks have no sign of slowing down in 2023. All right, and what is ransomware? Well, according to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's IC3 division, they state ransomware is a type of malicious software or malware that prevents you from accessing your computer files, systems, or networks and demands you pay a ransom for their return. Ransomware attacks can cause costly disruptions to operations and the loss of critical information and data. But wait, what was the first ransomware attack? Well, the first known ransomware attack was done by the gentleman to your left there, Dr. Joseph Pop. The ransomware was called AIDS Trojan. It was developed in 1989. AIDS was introduced into systems through a floppy disk called AIDS Information Introductory Diskette, which Pop had been using a mailing list, which he was a part of, to send it out to would-be victims. Now, how it worked was that files were hidden on the hard drive, but only their names were encrypted, not the files themselves. And so people could still click on files and try to open them, and the contents would still be available, but they couldn't. But it just now was more difficult to find specific files that they needed. The malware deceived users by displaying a message claiming that their license for a specific software had expired, which gave them this incentive or this urge to try to resolve the conflict, the technical issue, by paying the ransom. Now, it wasn't necessary to pay the extortionist, as it would be later revealed that the decryption key could actually be extracted from the Trojan's code. So in that floppy disk was just the code laying open, and there was a program that could be run called Clear Aid, which automatically reversed the encryption process, having to contact the extortionist, Mr. Pop, unnecessary. For Mr. Pop, he was eventually discovered by authorities and was sent to prison. and charged with 11 counts of blackmail. Now, the legacy it left behind is kind of interesting. The immediate impact was low. It didn't actually have that much significance. It only affected a handful of people, really. But what it started became kind of ingrained into what we now call ransomware today. You know, nowadays these cyber criminals can look back on this event and taking away the key facts of, one, making it harder for users to use their computer, causing a sense of panic, using deceptive messaging to cause confusion and fear, and finally providing detailed instructions on how to send money toward the extortionist. All right, now we're going to go on and talk about types of ransomware. All right, for this first one, it's called encrypting ransomware, also known as crypto ransomware. It executes silently on a victim's computer, searches for and encrypts valuable files, displays a message to the user after encrypting files, and then asks for a ransom in return for the hidden files. Now, key part of this, as I mentioned in the previous slide with Mr. Pop, the instructions was very essential, so much so that sometimes they would set up call centers to make sure that victims would actually follow the proper steps to send them the payment and decrypt their files. As far as decryption goes, after the payment, victims receive a key or a code for file decryption. Otherwise, an executable file was created for a specific machine to be decrypted, or decrypt the files on the machine. Examples of this are CryptoWall, CryptoLocker, WannaCry, which is based on CryptoLocker, and Locky. And here in the image you can see this gentleman is disgruntled, as you can see, from what's running on his computer, and that is WannaCry, quite aptly named. All right, and up with this next one is called non-encrypting ransomware, also known as locker ransomware. And as the name implies, it locks or blocks access to the target machine without file encryption. It demands ransom or requires user action that leads to some kind of financial costs for unlocking the device. The payment tactics are pretty straightforward. Malware demands payment upfront from victims. Otherwise rely on deceitful methods such as prompting user to call a high-rate phone number disguised as a free call, just to cost the business money. Examples of this would be WinLocker, a type of locker ransomware that restricts access to the system, and Reventon, another example known for locking access and employing deceptive tactics for the purpose of causing others financial damage. And in that screenshot you can see that is a Riveton, multiple messages. FBI is a pretty popular one. If you can scare people into thinking that their computer is blocked by the feds, they're much more willing to cooperate. And up with this next one, we have leakware, also known as doxware. Doesn't block access to victim's machine or stored information, but operates covertly, usually for a very long period of time. Stealthily collects sensitive data from victim's device, Eventually, data is stored externally, often on servers or other compromised machines, like on a botnet. Then the attacker will threaten the victim with data publication unless the ransom is paid. Now, this one is commonly done toward corporations. The larger the corporation, the more likely they're going to be cooperative in trying to get it prevent the data from being released, especially as financial data. Examples of this would be Maze and R-Evil and other ransom variants employing double extortion tactics. That screenshot there is an example that came from an event where Cognizant IT Solutions was hacked and employee and customer data was published online. And that's just a little snippet of what the article had. And lastly, mobile ransomware. Now, mobile ransomware targets mobile devices, shocker, phones, tablets, watches, IoT, and acts as blockers rather than encrypting data due to how oftentimes people already have their information backed up on the cloud. So encrypting the files and preventing people accessing them is just not as efficient for these attackers. The focus is on the device's value than the information stored on it. So there's more of an incentive for people to try to get access to the phone rather than access to the files on the phone. And for the tactics installed, the employed to get it installed, some display blocking messages like the one to the right there. Other employ more direct click hijacking to gain higher privileges so that they can restrict access to certain features on the device. And the one that you're seeing here is CryptoLocker, which, if you remember from earlier, I said that WannaCry is a spin-off of CryptoLocker. So you can see how this one resembles the other screenshot from before a lot. All right, now we're going to get into the demonstration. We're going to be showing a type of ransomware called Ryuk. All right, and now we're going to give a demonstration here with Ryuk ransomware. Alright, and here you're going to see the user has pictures available to them. And they're still able to edit these photos, change their name, modify them, all that. And then they get an email, suspicious looking email from this Gmail account that has this HTTP URL. Yep, and you can see it emphasizes uses deceptive language. It emphasizes the need to do it quickly. So it gets downloaded, unpacked, and then they would run it. So now when we try to go back into the photo, you can see it took a little longer that time, but they're still there. Everything looks alright. So when we close it, surprised to find that we have this executable file that's running through OneDrive, and then all these other files have lost their thumbnail and no longer are accessible. And this program keeps on popping up, a command prompt keeps on popping up, asking the user to run it. And when they do run it, it kicks them out of their OneDrive account. And even if this user were to log in, they're still going to have the issue of that pop-up asking it to allow it to run command prompt. And it's just going to keep doing this. Let me go forward a little bit. Here you can see that Ryuk README file is available, and you can see there's if you can read it, you have this executable running constantly. Alright, yeah, and this is just the script part, the instructions that the scammer will send over to make sure that the user knows how to actually complete the steps. Yeah, we got a contact, Bitcoin wallet. And this is just showing what it looks like when you have security software installed on it. So, different environment, but difference is that it has security software installed, and so when they try to download it, you can see right there that the security software prevents it from being kept on the computer. So when they try to open the downloads folder and see what's in there, it'll have a size of 0 kilobytes. Yep, 0 KB to the right there. So it never actually downloaded, even though it does show the name of the file. And this is just one example. This doesn't apply to all ransomware. Yeah, you can still get infected if you don't take the proper precautions. Now getting into those best practices, these are defense strategies against ransomware. Starting with the first one, regularly back up critical data to ensure to enable recovery without paying ransom. Educate employees and or members of an organization to recognize phishing attempts and social engineering. Implement network segmentation to limit malware movement. Use advanced endpoint protection against malware and ransomware. Regularly update and patch systems to address vulnerabilities. Employ email filtering to detect and block malicious content. Allow only approved applications to reduce the risk of malware executions. Develop and test an incident response plan for swift action in the event that this does occur. Work with law enforcement and cybersecurity experts for support. Provide ongoing security awareness training to employees and organization members. Develop robust security software and firewalls for added protection. And of course, conduct regular security audits to identify and address weaknesses within your defenses. Now, in conclusion, just covering the basics here, ransomware is a type of malicious software or malware that prevents you from accessing your computer files, systems, or networks, and demands you pay a ransom for their return. There's generally four different kinds of ransomware. Encrypting ransomware, where the files on your computer or on your device become encrypted, and you need to commit actions in order to receive a key to unlock it. Non-encrypting ransomware, where your computer becomes or your device becomes locked as a whole, and you have to follow certain steps by the solicitors. There's leakware, where a threat can be made against an organization, particularly large organizations, to publish sensitive information or data. And mobile ransomware, where a mobile device is being targeted specifically. Now, good ways to prevent this, to prevent and mitigate it. We've covered the longer list. I've shortened it up to just essentials, really. Just stay informed about the latest threats, install security patches, be careful with downloading or installing suspicious apps, make sure to back up all your files on a regular basis, regardless how annoying it may be, and run security software on your computers and devices so that you can prevent it from occurring, and at the very least learn how to maneuver forward from it. All right, thank you very much. Bye-bye.